Okay, so I just want to talk for a few minutes about how to use your calculator with scientific notation problems. You can do the normal way, the moving the decimal to the left and the right and all of that. That would be no problem. Here we could count, this is 3 times 10 to the negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then 8 times 10 to the 8, 10 to the 8th. We could say 8 and then move the decimal 8 places to the right, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and get 800 million. Is that right? Okay. That's no problem. But your calculator will also do this. If you will look at the top of your calculator in your second key, and beside the second key is the DRG key, and above that it says SCI and ENG. Okay, this right here is the magic. And since it's above that DRG key, you will use the second key. You will press the second key, and you will press the DRG key to access these. And when you press that, you're going to see that it will say flow, psi, and ENG. If you're just in normal mode in your calculator, it will be FLO will be underlined. If you want to be in scientific notation mode, you will want to underline the SCI, and you will use the arrows at the right of your calculator, those arrows at the upper right. Okay, so what you will do if you have a normal number like this 9,000, you will type in 9,000, you will do second DRG, and then you will arrow over to SCI, and then you will have to hit enter or equals at the bottom, and it should give you 9 times 10 cubed, right? So that's how to change from a normal number to a scientific notation. So you would already be in this, I'm just calling it flow mode. You would type this in, you will do 9 second DRG, arrow over to SCI, hit enter, and get that. When you move to the scientific notation mode, when you're looking at your screen, and I wish there was a good way to show this on the video, but when you're looking at the screen of your calculator, you'll see a little bitty SCI down in the bottom of the screen to show that you're in scientific notation mode. Okay? Now, if you've got a number in scientific notation mode, you will pretty much do the same thing. If you are in scientific notation mode, put the number in scientific notation mode, then do second DRG, change it back to FLO mode, hit enter, and it will give you the standard form of the number. So if we had this, make sure you're in psi mode, enter 9.31 times 10 to the negative 3. Remember that the little up arrow is your power key, right? And then hit second DRG, and you'll change back to FLO with your arrow key, and then hit enter. And that's how you get from scientific notation to standard form. That would give you 0.00931 is how that should work. When you are doing operations in scientific notation, you have a couple of options, okay? With multiplication, you could use standard form. So we could say 3 times 10 to the 4th is 30,000. We could multiply by 2 times 10 to the 1st, which is 20. That gives us 3 times 2 is 6 with 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then change that back to scientific notation, which would be 6 times 10 to the 5th. Okay, so you can do standard form, but sometimes that's a pain because you'll have lots of zeros and lots of things to deal with. You can use, you can use your exponent rules. Okay, so if I'm looking at 3 times 10 to the 4th times 2 times 10 to the 1st, I can put my 3 times 2 together, and I can put my 10 to the 4th times 10 to the 1st together. Okay, so 3 times 2 is 6, times, right here, I'm multiplying 10 to the 4th times 10 to the 1st. They're the same base, so when I'm multiplying with the same base, I add the exponents, so I get, magically, 6 times 10 to the 5th. Same answer, right? The other thing is to use your calculator, okay? Make sure when you're doing these scientific notation operations that you are in the scientific notation mode, okay? And it's also important that you use your parentheses, okay? Some problems that's more important than others, but if you'll always put the parentheses in, then you won't make quite so many errors. So you'll be in scientific notation mode, and you'll enter, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You will enter this right here as is. You know, your parentheses are above your 8 and 9 keys on your calculator. So you'll do parentheses, 3 times 10 to the 4th, close parentheses, times, parentheses, 2 times 10 to the 1st, close parentheses, and then hit your equals, okay? And it will do it for you. Obviously, you'll get 6 times 10 to the 5th. So if you would like, you can try this problem using your calculator and make sure that you get the correct answer. Division is done the same way, but you've got to be careful. I'm not a huge fan, as you know, of the little division symbol. This will often be written as 8 times 10 to the 5th over 4 times 10 cubed, okay? You can use your exponent rules. If you do your exponent rules, you would do 8 divided by 4, which is 2, times 10 to the 5th divided by 10 cubed. You're dividing with the same base, so you would subtract your exponents, and you would get 10 squared, okay? So sometimes not a pain to do it by hand, but if you do it using your calculator, if you are going to do 8 times 10 to the 5th divided by 4 times 10 cubed, you have to enter parentheses around the numerator and around the denominator. So make sure if you put this in the calculator that you put these parentheses in, because if you don't, your calculator is going to multiply and divide left to right, and this division right here is going to mess you up. So make sure you enter the parentheses when you do this in your calculator. Also make sure you are in scientific notation mode, okay? So you can try this one and try it in your calculator, see how you do. All right, lastly is addition and subtraction. This can be done by hand, but it's a pain, and no one wants to add or subtract numbers in scientific notation by hand. It's sort of like adding and subtracting mixed numbers. It's just not very fun, and there's weird things you have to remember. So I would do these problems in your calculator, enter them as you see them, make sure you put the parentheses around the scientific notation numbers so that your calculator does the order of operations correctly. Make sure you're in scientific notation mode, and these will be really easy to do in your calculator. So I know without actually looking at a calculator, this is kind of weird to see. If you have any problems using or finding what you need on your calculator, just let me know.